The petulant gremlin cockroach man-child, I know you know who I'm talking about, Zelensky, he's at it again. And Trump, our president, absolutely obliterates him in a recent statement. I'm going to share with you the so-called man of peace, the guy who wants peace for Ukraine, the guy who says we want to stop this too, we want to work with the US, who's now going on a world money grab tour. He just met with a UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer and other European leaders. I'm going to share with you some exclusive footage of Ukrainian insiders, soldiers, and people who've been arrested inside of Ukraine for speaking out against Zelensky and the war. Also, I'm going to share with you AOC doubling down on helping illegals to avoid ICE and a whole lot more. But first, let's get right into this. So Zelensky was asked by the Associated Press, aka the Associated Propaganda, recently about the Ukrainian war. And then this headline blasts all over the world earlier today, where the headline reads, Ukraine's Zelensky says end of war with Russia is very, very far away. Very, very far away. I am serious, Mr. President. I mean, this guy keeps preaching peace, peace. I'm all about peace. We want peace. And then you say something like this today, March 3rd? And so Trump, rightly so, says this is the worst statement. He posted this earlier that could have ever been made by Zelensky, and America will not put up with it for much longer. It is what I was saying. This guy doesn't want there to be peace as long as he has America backing it. Europe, in the meeting they had with Zelensky, stated flatly they cannot do the job without the U.S. Probably not a great statement to have been made in terms of show of strength against Russia. What are they thinking? So just so you understand this, okay? The guy showed up to our Oval Office, disrespected in the most rude, blatant manner our Vice President J.D. Vance and our president, yelling at them by creating a media uproar, all because J.D. Vance mentioned one word. I don't care what the propaganda, the crazies, the Chris Murphys, the ghetto Crockett's, I don't care what they say. If you watched my analysis video, everything was smooth and cool runnings until J.D. Vance mentioned diplomacy. And then the attack happened. Who attacked? It was Gremlin Man. Zelensky attacked. Then you get kicked out of the White House, rightly so, and begged to be brought back, begged to stay. All sorts of reports corroborated this story that Zelensky begged to stay. Marco Rubio then says, we could have signed this mineral deal a long time ago. I don't know why Zelensky showed up and caused this. All he literally needed to do was just show up, wear a suit and tie, sign a piece of paper, and this would have been a done deal. Then he goes over to Europe, and then you get this huge uproar from all these European leaders, Norway, Finland, Slovakia, UK, France, etc., Canada, saying, we fight with you, we fight with you, we fight. Probably these guys are all involved in the money laundering scheme, probably getting some huge kickbacks, much like a lot of our treasonous enemies within, like Schumer and the rest of them. And Keir Starmer then says, we're willing to put boots on the ground. I know we have a lot of viewers from the UK. I mean, how can you guys stand by and let this guy get away with this? It just seems insane. Does the king actually, is he on board with this? Check out what Keir Starmer says. Watch this.
First, we will keep the military aid flowing and keep increasing the economic pressure on Russia to strengthen Ukraine now. Second, we agreed that any lasting peace must ensure Ukraine's sovereignty and security, and Ukraine must be at the table. Third, in the event of a peace deal, we will keep boosting Ukraine's own defensive capabilities to deter any future invasion. Fourth, we will go further to develop a coalition of the willing to defend a deal in Ukraine and to guarantee the peace. Not every nation will feel able to contribute, but that can't mean that we sit back. Instead, those willing will intensify planning now with real urgency. The UK is prepared to back this with boots on the ground and planes in the air.
I mean, we're way past the Russian invasion at this point. It's been 3 years, for crying out loud. I get it. I'm not siding with Putin. I think it was wrong of him to invade. Do I have a stake in this? No, I don't really care that they take over Ukraine. Do I support Putin? That's the point. No, I don't support Putin. Yes, he's dictatorial. Yes, he's tyrannical, et cetera, et cetera. He's a dictator. I get it. But this could have been solved a long time ago. This could have been resolved a very, very long time ago. What is keeping this going? Why not just declare war on Russia at this point? I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me. All this back channeling, pussyfooting around and constantly wasting money and resources. Meanwhile, nothing is getting done. Nothing is progressing. The war continues on and on and on. And they expect the U.S. Zelensky expects the U.S. to fund this thing forever. And Trump is saying enough is enough. We're done. We're through. The ATM is closed. And this is exactly what we voted for. I'm going to share with you some important clips of Russian insiders as well as Russian soldiers. But I want to share this quick clip. Over 10 years ago, President Clinton talking to Piers Morgan about Putin's personality and Putin's reliability. This is worth a careful viewing and sharing.
Look, Mr. Putin he's very smart.
Well, you know him better than most people.
Yeah, I do.
What was he like behind closed doors, away from, the sort of the public utterances?
Smart and remarkably, we had a really good, blunt relationship.
How blunt?
Brutally blunt.
Ever fisticuffs?
No, but I think the right strategy most of the time is, but it's frustrating to people in your line of work. You should be brutally honest with people in private. And then if you want them to help you, try to avoid embarrassing them in public.
Right.
Now, sometimes they do things which make it impossible for you to keep quiet. But by and large, I found all the people I dealt with appreciated it if I told them the truth. How I honestly felt and what our interests were and what our objectives were. And they also appreciated it when I didn't kick them around in public for as long as I couldn't kick them around. So that's my experience. And
did Putin ever renege on a personal agreement he made to you?
He did not.
So behind closed doors, he could be trusted.
He kept his word in all the deals we made.
Biden, Kamala, Obama, they completely turned their backs on Putin. President Clinton is not one of these right-wing radical Democrats. I'm not giving him major props because he's still a Democrat, for crying out loud. He's still a liberal. But as he, I think, represents that faction of the party that Bill Maher calls, the old school Democrats, the old school liberals, which now, the liberal party, the progressives, are completely unrecognizable. They've gone so extreme. It's a completely different thing now. But back then, you had Democrats that actually made sense once in a while and could agree with common sense sensibilities and policies. And that is living proof right there, to me, in my mind, that Zelensky doesn't want anything to do with peace. Check out these clips. Alexander Dubinsky, I'm probably not pronouncing that right, who has spent 15 months locked away in a pretrial detention center because he spoke out against President Zelensky. Listen to him right here in this clip, and then I've got so much more to share. Come on.
Hello, Mr. President Trump. My name is Alexander Dubinsky, and I'm a member of the Ukrainian Parliament. I have been in prison for 14 months, for one reason only. I told the truth about the Biden's corruption in Ukraine. In 2019, I was the first to expose how Joe Biden was using Ukraine for his personal financial gain. I exposed how his son, Hunter Biden, got millions of dollars through offshore schemes and Burisma. I spoke as a lawmaker, and I spoke as a patriot of Ukraine. But after Biden won in 2020, Zelensky's government, following Washington crazy orders, opened 4 absolutely stupid and fake criminal cases against me. In November 2023, they put me in prison. No evidence, no trial, no investigation. I was never even asked for testimony. They just want to shut me up and silence my public voice, but they failed. They failed because Biden's corruption is a fact. It's a fact. The American Congress and American court have proven that Hunter Biden received money from Ukrainian officials. He confessed to it. But who's in prison? Dubinsky, not Biden. For what? For speaking the truth about Biden's corruption at a press conference. For exposing Soros' network, the same Soros who is together with Yermak and Zelensky helped to steal your election in 2020. For fighting corruption that steals billions and billions from American taxpayers under the cover of aid to Ukraine? And how do they label me? A Russian agent. Why? Just simply because I was near Derkach, someone I have no ties to. Just like I have no ties to Russia or Russian intelligence. Does it seem familiar, Mr. Trump? They did the same to you. They call everyone who speaks about Biden's corruption a Russian agent. They destroy the truth so they can keep stealing billions and billions of dollars under the cover of helping Ukraine. War is a tremendously huge money business for Zelensky. And the Ukrainian people want peace instead. 70% of Ukrainians want the war to stop, but not Zelensky. He doesn't want peace because peace is more dangerous for him than a war. He cancelled elections because he knows he will lose. He keeps the country in fear because without fear he will lose the power. He continues the war not for victory, but for money and power. The United States held elections even during the Civil War, but Zelensky cancelled the right of Ukrainians to vote. Why? Because if the Ukrainian people vote, they will never elect him again. The Biden corruption machine must be stopped. You made a huge step. You cut funding to the Soros network in Ukraine. You broke their monopoly over the media, over the propaganda pushing the war. But President Trump, the people of Ukraine trust you and have hope for your presidency. We know you are the only one who can stop this mess. Audit Ukraine. Audit every single dollar sent to Ukraine since 2020. Shut down the money flow to Zelensky dictatorship. Let and help Ukraine restore peace, democracy, the rule of law, political stability and justice. Today Soros and Biden are using Ukraine to make money. But this is not a war. This is their huge money business. The Ukrainian people are praying for you, Mr. Trump. Fight, fight, and fight them.
Not from CNN, not from the New York Times, not from the Atlantic, not from all of the woke, corrupt propagandists, AP, etc., etc., etc. An actual member of the Ukrainian parliament, somebody who is a citizen of Ukraine, somebody who's inside Ukraine, an insider, speaking from experience, speaking with intelligent articulation, speaking English quite well, and telling the truth about Zelensky, Soros. I mean, look at the Biden, Hunter Biden. Look at the network. Look at the cabal. I mean, it is safe to say that Biden is not only the worst president we've ever faced, he might be the worst criminal that our country has ever seen. Enemies both foreign and domestic. It's even more treacherous to have a domestic enemy, one of that caliber. I want you to see this quick clip right here of Ukrainian soldiers on the front. Listen to what they have to say.
So how are things going? I mean, last time I talked to you was 3 months ago. How is the situation on the front line?
For real, I think situation not really good for me. It's we're all tired. We're all tired. We wanna peace.
We lack. We need manpower. We need equipment. The main thing is the abundance of Russian equipment. There's just too much. There's too many soldiers and stuff. But yet we're holding the line. Somehow we're holding it.
It's really hard. It's really hard. We don't have enough people.
There you hear it from the front lines with Ukrainian soldiers, absolutely exhausted and just done, finished, fed up with this. And Zelensky says he knows his people. Zelensky says, ask my people. He's the one who told J.D. Vance, ask the Ukrainian if they want to peace, if they want stop. Well, it looks like they do. And it looks like you're doing everything in your power to keep this thing going. And I believe Dubinsky in the earlier clip because I've done my research, I've done my due diligence, but B, my gut is screaming that he's telling the truth, and my gut is screaming that you are pawn scum, Zelensky. And so I can't wait to get your comments on this. It's not just the Ukrainian people that want to end to this. Americans overwhelmingly support the end of this. Look at this chart right here. You can see that 72% of people here in the U.S. are sick and tired of this war, and they want Ukraine to negotiate a settlement with Russia, as opposed to keeping this thing ongoing and ceaseless. When asked if they favored or opposed Trump announcing direct U.S.-Russia negotiations to end the war, 60% of Americans said they're in favor of Trump working it out to bring this thing finally to a halt. Supposedly, Trump is meeting with his military officials and high commanders to find out if they should cut off all aid to Ukraine and potentially even leave NATO. And so things are getting very heated very fast. And in my mind's view, this has all been perpetuated by the dark regime of Kamala and Biden, who made a deal with the devil, Zelensky, who I think the last thing he wants on planet Earth is peace. I can't wait to get your comments on this. Okay, lastly, I just want to share this because this is going viral. AOC was charged by Tom Homan and company by saying, you know, helping out essentially illegal immigrants. This is what I mean by enemies within. And she now doubled down on that in this recent interview with NPR. Listen to this.
You had a recent dispute, if that's the right word, with Tom Homan, the president's Homeland Security czar, so-called. You held an online forum, a Know Your Rights forum, that he didn't like. What were you doing? What was your goal as you saw it?
My job is to educate and act as a liaison of critical information to my constituents. And I was informing all of my constituents of their constitutional protections, and in particular, their constitutional protections against illegal search and seizure in the United States.
Holman was upset, I suppose, because he felt that you were giving advice to people who were here illegally. Were you?
I was giving advice to all of my constituents. Yeah.
He said he was going to report you, or even that he did reach out to the Department of Justice. Have you heard from the Department of Justice?
I have not, and I intend on reaching out to the Department of Justice to inquire.
Really? What would your question be for the Department of Justice?
Well, there is a member of the Trump administration who is threatening and seeks to open an inquiry, and are you going to do it?
What would you learn? What do you hope to learn from that exchange?
I think it's important to know where this administration stands and if they intend on using political intimidation to silence their critics.
Boy, has AOC's stock completely plummeted in the Democratic Party. I mean, when you've got Jasmine full of Crockett as the forerunner, supposedly, and now there's even talks of this guy running for president in 2028? Yeah, that's right. Tampon Tim, actually, there's talks, there's rumblings. He has announced a potential bid to run for president in 2028. And you know it's bad. But I mean, that exchange right there, she sounded guilty, 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 guilty as F. I mean, really, really guilty. And first of all, a quick question here. Maybe I'm reading too into this. He asked you that, are you giving advice to illegal criminals? And she said, I'm giving advice to all my constituents. Are you saying then, one would surmise logistically, are you saying that all your constituents are illegal criminals? I don't know. Am I nuts? Did I hear that wrong? Let me know in the comments. I can't wait. I can't wait, my fellow Americans, fellow global citizens, to hear from you. Nez Nation, I love you guys so, so much. We're so close to 500,000 subscribers. If you know anybody, share this out. Tap the thumbs up. It's free. Subscribe. It's free. We're going to be doing a huge giveaway. Consider becoming a member. It's for members only, but we're going to do a huge live stream giveaway for members. Once we hit 500K, I owe it all to you, and I just want to say a huge heartfelt thank you. And I give you my sovereign pledge and oath that I will always bring to you nothing but the truth, the whole truth, so help me God. And I just want to say a huge thank you, Nez Nation. I love you guys. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Check out these videos too, just in case you missed them, coming up on the screen right here. Tap my face right there to subscribe and follow. And as always, may God bless you, and may God bless the USA. I'll see you soon.